Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to talk about Hasbro Inc. stock. If you followed the channel, I covered the stock briefly in one of the videos, and I had said that the earnings are going to be blockbuster, and I really like the stock, and the earnings were really good for them. I'm going to cover my the earnings were great, but the stock didn't move much. So I think it's a pretty good risk reward opportunity right now. They've gotten multiple upgrades today. There were 5 upgrades today. We'll go through those. We'll talk about what the catalysts are. Why I like the stock so much. I'll share my research, how I find ideas, and how I test those ideas. So if my goal through this channel is not only to share ideas and everything else. I want to make sure that I can contribute in you becoming a better investor in whatever way I can. This channel is for beginners most likely, but if you are I've been in the markets for almost 8 years, so I've been doing this for quite a bit, and I have made multiple mistakes, which I've tried to learn from. So maybe I just want to make sure that I share those mistakes, and maybe you can learn from them as well, and not make the same mistakes. And if you're a seasoned investor as well, I hope I can add something to your forte as well. And if you think that I'm saying something wrong, please feel free to leave a comment, and I would definitely love for you to criticize my work and just tell me if I'm wrong with something. I would really appreciate it. So yeah, first of all, so Hasbro has multiple these 4 segments basically. So first segment, which is material of their basically all of their operating profit at this point, is the Wizards and the Coast Digital Gaming section. So this segment, the most amount of revenue in this segment and the profits in this segment comes from MTG. That's Magic the Gathering. It's basically a card game. There's Dungeons and Dragons and all these other other segments as well, which are way smaller. The biggest segment for Hasbro is Magic the Gathering in terms of profit. So as you can see, Wizards is $242 million in profit, and Hasbro's total profit is $247 million. So it's almost the entirety of their profit comes from this segment. So my thesis around this was basically when I saw posts about just about the crossover with Final Fantasy. So this was a post in the Final Fantasy subreddit. I haven't bought or collected or played MTG since around 2005, but this new FF crossover was just too good to pass on. I had to get some. So yeah, so people were just sharing about this Final Fantasy. They did a crossover. So what they do is they they generally do crossover sets. They'll collaborate with a bigger franchise, and they'll just launch a limited edition drop with them, and those tend to do really well. So that's what they did with Final Fantasy, and this was the reason why I had initially liked the stock so much, because I searched up how to play MTG. The reason why I looked this one up is okay, you have this one collection. Is this going to actually move the needle for the franchise as a whole, and is this going to be a needle mover for them, going years and years? And this was the reason why when I looked up how to play MTG, I was like, okay, well, this is actually not only leading to just demand for this specific set. This is actually going to lead to more people, because Final Fantasy is a huge franchise as well. Could this crossover lead to the player base increasing? That was my initial thesis, and when I saw this going up, when I was researching the stock, I was like, oh well, yeah, this is gonna definitely play out. And it was actually interesting to see, because the CEO, Mr. Cox, he said that in the earnings call, he said the demand is unprecedented. Cox said organized play is on fire. We saw nearly 40% YOY increase in unique players during the first half of 2025. So so many catalysts, and this is one of them. They're increasing the player base, and this game is not new. This game is decades old, and to see 40% growth in player base, that's huge. And again, the thing is, they keep on dropping new sets. So if they are dropping this one set and it's getting in new players into the ecosystem, every time they drop a new set afterwards, from here onwards, they're going to get more players. And then also, if you cannot get your hands on the Final Fantasy set, you're going to go for other sets as well, right? So this was the other thing that I was kind of watching the data. So if you analyze multiple different keywords, research trends, you'll see how to play MTG going up here. And that the other thing is, this is going up in June and July. So this is early June and early July, and the earnings obviously were until June 30th, right? So if the search trends are going up going into July, that's not factored in. And the thing that I think the manager or the market is concerned about, and I mean the first quarter also, they guided for in the last quarter they guided for only 3 to 5% I think degrowth, and this segment, and I think they were saying for MTG it's going to be mid to 18%. I think they were saying 15 to 18%. It came in at 20%, and this is only the beginning. I feel like this is going to ramp up, and they obviously have the Spider-Man set that's dropping in September, and I think they have an Avatar set that's also dropping in November. So that's the reason why. So the way I structured my trade was I went with the March 26 call options. I'm not going to reveal my entire position. I don't want people to think either way, that this guy is like not big enough, or this guy is very small or whatever. So these are the calls that I had bought when I had shared this. I was up 56% on these calls. And this, the reason why is because this stock is not very volatile, so I don't expect it to go to like $150 over 12 months. It could happen, but it's very highly unlikely. And these options when I bought them were very cheap. So like now the IV has gotten up because people think that the stock is going to move because of all these catalysts. But at that time, this was a pretty low volatility stock. No one was thinking the stock is going to move much. But now with all these catalysts, there's a good possibility that it does move up. So we'll look at this tweet as well, what I had shared here. So I said Hasbro with a big beat and raise driven by mostly MTG. I believe the management will share positive outlook for MTG in the call. Web traffic for various Magic websites is surging. So let's just look at some data here before we get into that. So as I said, how to play MTG is going up, right? That search trend is going up. Magic the Gathering general term is going up, as you can see in this video. MTG buy, so like just a general term for like buy MTG cards or like buy MTG near me or whatever. So this keyword would cover most of those. And again, surging here, coming down a little bit, so maybe it'll fade. But like the other ones, like see MTG cards, that's still quite high, like over the last 5-year period. MTG near me, that's going up too. Play MTG, that's significantly. So every keyword you look up is going up significantly higher, right? So these 4 websites is where mostly, these are the 4 Reddit subreddits for MTG, Magic the Gathering. And you'll see in July is when they're actually seeing this huge surge. This hasn't been there for about 12 months, and you'll see like just like it's very normal here, nothing crazy. But in July, when this is the month after the Q2 earnings that were revealed, and the thing is, my problem, the reason why I structured this trade in a way the way I did it was because generally managements are very conservative, and they don't want to like boost the numbers up too much, so that they raise the bar too much, and then it's very hard to like climb it or whatever. So they're generally very conservative. So even after great numbers from Q2, people think that Q3 and Q4 are not going to be strong because they didn't raise the guide as much as the analysts thought that with Q2 being so strong they should raise the guide more, but they did not do that. But as we can see, July is actually looking stronger, and then they have the Spider-Man set coming in September as well. So that's going to be another catalyst for them, and this looks really, really strong, right? So MTG rules, like the reason why I was searching this keyword up was because, okay, well, if someone is getting into this game, they want to like know about the rules, right? That's like the natural way of thinking for a new player if they're getting into anything new, right? If I want to take up baseball, I want to look up baseball rules, or like how to play baseball or whatever. So that's the reason why I searched how to play MTG, and that was something that I wanted to look at. So MTG, just the keyword as well, surging. These are 4 different websites which sell MTG cards, and again, just like the Reddit subreddit traffic data, you'll see the website traffic data for all these 4 websites. All of these 4 websites is surging into July. So this is the quarter here, and this quarter has been the highest since for the last year. So we are seeing like continued momentum in this segment specifically, and with people like new players coming in, there's a good chance that this momentum continues, especially like coming into the Spider-Man release later this year, and also the Avatar release, especially with the movie. That's going to get a lot of hits as well. So what is MTG? This is also going up. Like people are just looking up what is MTG, and see like this is consolidating for so long, right? Consolidating here, it kind of had this surge, but the surge trends have not gone up parabolically. This has been a parabolic rise, and it's kind of staying higher too, right? Sometimes you'll see this happening, but this is not happening. It's not like it's going up and then going down right away. This is kind of sustaining at a very high place as compared to all these other set trends. The other catalyst I have for this stock that I should talk about right now is the games. So they're going from just like your toys and stuff to like basically online entertainment. So they're going to release 3 different like multiple games over the next 2 to 3 years. One of them is with Saber Interactive. I think it's going to be a Dungeons and Dragons game, and that's probably going to be a huge catalyst as well. It came that game they're doing with is with Saber Interactive, which is one of the biggest developers. So this is one of my tweets here. This was before the earnings. I said really like the setup for Has going into earnings tomorrow. The stock is almost at 3 year highs, but has gotten multiple analyst upgrades since the post, owing to strong demand outlook for MTG. So the post basically meaning this one that I had tweeted out on July 1st when I bought those options. If you don't follow me on X, I would highly recommend it. I do share trades all the time. So if you're interested, you can do that. It is highly likely that they will raise guidance for Magic, which is a huge part of visits, which constitutes all of their profits. Price action wise, I see 2 scenarios: move up to the $86 range, and absorption at the open. So I was anticipating 2 things that could happen. One is like the numbers will be great, you'll see that huge surge, it'll come down during the day. Or the second was great numbers and guide, and the price corrects massively with buyers coming in during the day and price moving close to $72. I think that was scenario 2 is what played out. This was what I drew actually on Monday. So I was expecting this to, like, after this candle in this resistance area, I was expecting it to come down into these EMA bands, which is a support area. Plus there's a gap here as well, so I was kind of expecting this gap to fill, and as you can see, this gap was exactly filled, and this is what I see happening. It'll probably form a bottom here, and then it'll just go back up again. So if you the reason why I think that is because they got multiple upgrades. Like just today they got multiple upgrades. So here, as you can see, Hasbro has maintained a buy at Citigroup. They raised the target to $91 from $79. Then they have D.A. Davidson. They also raised their target. They are neutral still, but they raised it from $75 to $80. Then you have JP Morgan, which is overweight on the stock. They raised the target from $75 to $94. And then we have Roth Capital, which also raised their targets to $92 from $86. And then the last one is Morgan Stanley, which is also overweight on the stock. They raised their target to $85 from $83. So how the price action generally works is, if something is so they have these institutions don't want to get the price higher as soon as possible, because why would they, right? Like, they want to get as many cheap shares as they possibly can. So I had people commenting on my post as well, where they were saying, I don't want to dox the gentleman, but he was saying, well, I have short-winded puts, calls, and I want the stock to go up in the short term. And I was I'm not gonna say that I'm very smart, because I made this huge mistake with NetEase a few months back. I briefly shared it. I'll just go into it a little more detail in this video, because this is the reason. This will kind of help you to frame your trades, and in the future, if you have a certain idea which is kind of similar to Hasbro, you can kind of you maybe use this and frame your strategy around how to frame your trades, I guess. So what I did with NetEase was, at that time they were coming up. Marvel Rivals was a game that came out. It was a free-to-play game. It was doing really well, and I knew that it's gonna make some effect on their revenue. Now the thing with NetEase in that specific area, it's similar to Hasbro, is the company had stagnant revenues for 5 years. They were not growing at all. So with Marvel Rivals, I kind of used some of the data that's available, through, I think it's Steam. So Steam releases active players and everything else, and there was a data point where they were saying that they're doing $200 million in revenue or something in a month. So I was anticipating them to with all the royalty fee and everything else, to make $150 million to $200 million per quarter. So I was saying they'll get to around $500 to $600 million per quarter. That was going to be 15% of their net revenue. So if it's going to be 15% of the net revenue for a company that hasn't grown revenue in years and years, right? As I said, as I think this is something that everybody should know, that the market loves certainty, and when analysts are trying to frame the targets for a stock, what they do is they do DCA. So that's what I used to do in the past as well. I've stopped doing not DCA, but the DCF calculations. I used to do that in the past as well. I've stopped doing that because it doesn't really lead to anything, because you're looking backwards. And what we are trying to do is, at least what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to look forward and seeing what kind of edge do I have. What is something that I know that the market doesn't, and when is that parity reached? So in this case, what I knew was, I have a friend who owns a collectible card business. I called them. I asked them, hey, are you seeing more demand for Hasbro, or not Hasbro, but Magic the Gathering? And I was like, he's like, yeah, but why do you ask? I said well, I think a Hasbro stock could benefit, and he didn't even know that Hasbro owned MTG. So that was okay, first thing, the person who sells these cards doesn't even know that Hasbro sells these. And then I talked to a couple of the people, and they both were saying, well, I didn't know that Hasbro owns MTG. So that was the thing, was okay, first of all, people don't even know that this huge tailwind that this specific product is having is actually good for Hasbro. So that was the initial data point that I was like, okay, well, I have some edge here. Very, very low edge, I guess, because Wall Street obviously knows, but that was something that I was like, okay, well, retail doesn't know this is a thing. So that was the first data point. The second data point was, I have a friend who plays this game, and he used to actually be my senior in one of the jobs that I worked at. I call him a friend, and he was. I talked to him. I was like, "Well, are you seeing some because he was at an event in Las Vegas actually playing as he's a professional player." So I was asking him, "Are you seeing more demand for this?" And he also kind of corroborated. He's like, "Yeah, it's been growing up. It's becoming more popular recently." So I was like, "Okay, well, I have 2 data points, and then all my search trends, whatever I was searching, was going parabolically higher. Website traffic was looking really good. Reddit traffic was looking really good. Everything was looking really good." So I was like, okay, well, this is a trade that I can make. But the only thing was, and the NetEase experience, actually, the reason why I started talking about it was, when I made that trade with NetEase, they released the game in February, I think, January or February. and the earnings were coming out in March. So my thesis was like, well, like the March earnings will have some factor to this. They might raise their guidance and the stock will go up. So I bought short-term calls. What happened was, in that specific quarter, there was a little bit of revenue that came from it, but it wasn't as huge as I had expected, because they had some costs related to it and stuff like that. So it didn't really play out in that specific quarter, and they didn't raise their guidance at all, and the stock didn't move. Actually, I think it went down 4 or 5%. And I think I had 3 calls. I had 3 or 4 contracts. I sold a half of my position, but the bigger ones I held on, and I lost some money on that one. So that was and then they reported Q2 earnings, and the stock went up like 20% or 25% or 30% in a very short period, and those calls would have gone up like crazy. But that was a mistake that I made. I didn't time that trade properly. With this one, now the thing was, this had multiple catalysts. So first of all, the MTG trade, it was going to play out during the quarter, right? And also, I think this is the other thing that they talked about, that they said that this collection was so popular that they had more sales for this specific collection, $200 million of sales in one day. And they had, so this is the note here from Chris Cox. He says, I'll give you a comparison between the two of the biggest universes at the onset. Lord of the Rings took 6 months to deliver $200 million of revenue. Final Fantasy took 1 day, and we left him out on the table. He's saying we kept on creating, increasing the production and everything else. We still couldn't keep up. So this tells you it's not only, these current players. There's more people that are involved in this. Now, so what happens is now, the institutions are like, well, they're going to buy, but they want their stocks as cheap as possible. So they'll send it down a little bit, have people panic, and then they'll come in, swoop those shares, and you'll start seeing the stock move up higher again. This is how I think. And then, as I said, they have AAA games coming out. When they are released, there's going to be buzz around those. There'll be more news coming on that in Q4 as well. And those will be another kicker for the stock. So by March, I see this story kind of getting to parity. Maybe even Q3 is when the MTG earnings are going to come out again. And at that point, it's like not Q2, because in Q2, they haven't raised their guide. But in Q3, when the Q3 earnings also beat substantially, then the analysts are going to be like, oh, well, they're underplaying this. And then you'll see that huge surge. So those are the things that I see. Either with all these upgrades, it seems like the analysts are calling the bluff a little bit. So I think we'll just see that little bit of a move down, week 10 days consolidation, and then we start moving on to that stair step way going forward as well. And this is a prediction I'm making. I think this is how it's going to play out. Or we'll just see it going sideways, which I think is very low likelihood. I'll probably say 20%. We'll see it go sideways for a little bit. Earnings come out. We see the 15-20% surge on earnings. Either way, I have options. I have almost 5 times leverage. So either it'll be great for me. Obviously, I'll get some degradation on the IV over the next 3 months, but I have a position that I can take profits based on how the story plays out. So with NetEase, as I said, that was my mistake. I didn't anticipate, and I think I did it a couple of times with TPR as well, Tapestry Inc. I wrote about it on my Substack 7 or 8 months ago. I was hard pressed on cash with some other positions that I was in, and I thought my analysis is going to play out in the quarter that was coming up. It did not, and the stock has 2.5x since then, 9 months. So that was a huge mistake that I made again. Didn't time it properly. So generally what happens is you have to kind of understand what the history of the management is and how they generally guide. So some managements are more conservative than the others, and with the conservative managements, you have to give it some time to play out. So that was the reason why I bought March call options, although they were expensive, but I was fine because I had this piece of information that no one else did, just social arb. Like Chris Camillo says, that you should have some sort of some piece of alpha that the market does not. And in this case, I thought I had some piece of alpha that the market did not have. So that's how I played this, and this is how I think it's going to play out. We'll see the stock kind of consolidate for a little bit for a week, 10 days, and then it'll start going up in stair step manner again. I don't doubt that, and I think just with the other collections that are coming out later this year, that's going to be a catalyst. Plus you have the catalyst with the new games, AAA games that are coming out with Saber Interactive, who's behind the Warhammer 40k game last year, which sold over 3 million copies and was super successful. And then once I think they're being very proactive, that they're going with a developer which is actually known for developing good games. And then they have the Dungeon and Dragon games coming out. We know Stranger Things is coming out at end of this year, and Stranger Things talks about, they have Dungeon and Dragon angle to it, and Hasbro has said that every time the show comes out, the sales go up. So I think that's another very smart thing that they're doing. They're releasing the AAA game close to when Stranger Things is coming out. Like, I know it's like next, I think they said later, second half of 2026, but it'll be in, you know, people's minds, because no one's gonna watch it directly. But if the trailer and stuff comes out at that time, that's gonna be a little bit of a buzz that'll be created for them as well. So I really like the story. I think like my options are hopefully going to be worth way more than they are right now. I'll probably make, you know, 100%, 125%. That'll be ideal. I mean, I wouldn't complain about that, because it does go, if it does go to $100, $110 by, you know, March, I might roll my options. But if I don't, like, still, I think it'll probably be $100 to $110 stock by then, which would help, like, which would probably 3x my options. So I might take profits, and I will share if I do see any material change in the story and the thesis, and I will share it over here so you guys are well aware as well. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.